It's Alexander Spellane. I have actually a friend with me this time, Anthony Watson. It's good to have you, man, and it's so good to see you. I love hanging out with you when it comes to these events. I've known you for a little while now. So first and foremost, for those in the audience who don't know your story, I want you to tell about how you got involved with Turning Point and really what that journey's been like for you so far.
Wow, okay, so I'm gonna give you the quick version, okay?
Yeah.
So what happened basically was around 2017, 2018, 2019 era was when Charlie Kirk really started posting a lot of videos, sitting on campuses, having conversations about government, capitalism, socialism, all that kind of stuff. He was someone that I really respected a great deal because I was like, wow, that guy makes a lot of sense. Then came the riots and race war that made BLM a popular item. And forgive me for my voice, it's been a very exciting weekend, so I sound a little hoarse right now. But at that time, it never resonated with me, the message of BLM, because their message was all lives don't matter until black lives do. But when you saw everything that the black people were doing to other races and communities in the name of fairness, it didn't make sense. So I was somebody at the time who spoke out and said that I think Black Lives Matter is a scam and I don't believe anything that they're saying because black lives won't matter to anybody else until they matter to each other. And I said, when people look at our community, they see the lack of respect, they see the disdain, they see the chaos and the turmoil happening internally amongst each other, that when they say that it's not fair, everyone's response is just like, well, dude, look at how you treat each other. You can't make that our problem. And then you had a lot of people who stood up in fear of being labeled a racist or being labeled like someone who hated black people if they didn't support that kind of thing, when you literally saw them doing everything except wanting to be treated fairly, burning buildings, looting stores, going into Nike, Louis Vuitton, and still happening now. I mean, you're from California. All those, like Rodeo Drive,
we got it bad
like
there.
all of those
Absolutely.
places where people are literally doing snatch and grabs. And nobody's doing anything because the system is rigged against them, now they're making it this case. So I was somebody that was just like, yo, if black people want to be better, there needs to be an outlet and an opportunity for them to prove themselves because nothing's given for free. So when I stated that, all of my Olympic sponsors dropped me. Then I never was able to compete again. My coaches wouldn't touch me. And so I basically got blacklisted from the Olympic community after competing for 10 plus years in the sport. And so after that, you know, I started going around talking as an ambassador to different high schools and colleges. And then last year, Turning Point was like, you've been doing a lot for us on the road. Why don't you come and be a contributor? And here I am. And it was at this event last year that I had the privilege of meeting you and your awesome stellar team over at Fisher Capital.
Absolutely. You know, I know you as a face of Campus Crashers. I mean, you're actually in almost all the videos that Charlie plays. Obviously, you're very well spoken and you've got an amazing message to share. So just talk about the overwhelming response we've seen with the students. I love this because, and what you're doing is essentially is the core of the mission, just connecting with the students, and that's really the roots of where the organization started, so talk about that.
Well, you hear everyone saying we're in a culture war. And what I tell everybody else is that culture war can't just be a term that you use for like clickbait or anything else. What that looks like and what that means has a vision. So in a culture war, you're in it from the time you're born and you get out of it when you die. That's a culture war because culture is continually evolving around you. You don't get an honorable discharge from this war. You don't get a 401k. You don't collect a pension. You don't get a Purple Heart when you get hurt or your feelings get hurt. And I was like, and you don't get a Medal of Honor when you do something noble. You know, we're in a place right now where wrong is right and right is wrong now. And now there's a divide of people that want to do the things for social acceptance or if they want to do the things for moral acceptance, for longevity. And everyone's saying that Gen Z is a problem. We need more people to actually go in front of Gen Z and hands-on teach them things. And so that's what I took on for myself because the next generation, everyone is so worried about it and they talk about it, but very few people are actually doing the hands-on work to actually go in front of them and be like, hey, America's great. This is how you can invest. This is how you walk with pride. This is how you take pride in your country. This is how you study and learn to develop the skills to become a citizen to society that's actually going to benefit for the greater good of the world that we live in. And so now through Campus Crashers, it wasn't just a show that I wanted to create where you have to pay to get viewers or try to get viewers to see your stuff. The best way in my mind to interact with your audience is to include your audience. And so for the next generation, I want them to know that this is a country still worth fighting for. And so what we decided to do, myself and Stephen Davis MAGA Hulk, when I created this show, Stephen was the missing piece. And when I got him, everything came together perfectly. So our mission is to go to the kids that are doing a good thing and continue to inspire them to do a good thing so that they can now be leaders and a good example to the other people that are watching.
Right. You know, Stephen and you make an amazing team. I love seeing the work that you guys do. You inspired a question when you say, like, students for whatever reason, like you don't see as many people in the beginning. I know this has changed. Now it's at a different level. But what do you think has inspired people to stand up and just fight more? And is it a result of the lack of fear of backlash, or was that something that contributed to people being afraid to stand up for the truth?
Well, I think people are all coming to a crossroads where they're getting sick and tired of being sick and tired. Like there are days that you're tired of making the same excuse for yourself. You know, in this time that we find ourselves in, you either have a choice. It's either get run over and ran out of town, or you stand and fight back. And now there are going to be some times that you get beat down, that you lose a couple of things, but I was like, we're in a war. A war is a long thing, a series of battles here and there that you have to learn to overcome mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Like in this thing, it hits you in every aspect of life, that when you learn to overcome certain things, that's when you become kind of immune to the backlash of everything else. Because everyone, when they first take a stand in something, always has the question of, well, what if I lose something? What if I built everything up and now it's taken away? It's just like, that's a risk that you have to take if you really want the result of what you're going for. Because our forefathers that started this country died in battle for a vision of a country free from tyranny. And most of them didn't even get to live in it after the war was over. And we stand on that sacrifice today. And for me to sit here, for everybody else to be like, if we come together at these events and all we do is just talk a big game and nothing is done, then we're no better than the people that are echo chambers saying the same message with no results. What we need to start doing is not just getting people amped up to want a free America. America and freedom literally was fought for and created through bloodshed. And we're hoping that it doesn't have to come to that, but it's not going to come without a fight either. You need to arm people and to know what their rights are, to know and study these documents. It used to be things that you learned in school. Like, remember, like the physical fitness test when we were in high school?
Yes, sir.
That you had to pass, and you either got national or presidential. They take that away now. So we have a generation of people that aren't physically fit, don't know how to read and write, aren't people that know how to use tangible skills and everything else. And then they wonder when people like you and myself are able to put the work in with our hands, do the physical stuff of talking and having a conversation. Yeah. That's a lost art right now, of being able to hold eye contact and have a conversation. When you do those kinds of things and then you see yourself elevating here, now people look at you and say, oh, he's got money, he just thinks he's better than us. I'm like, no, man, that guy has worked to get there. I was like,
absolutely.
The saying is kind of true. They say it's lonely at the top. It's lonely on the climb, because you have to pass people that you were with and you have to leave people behind that are behind you. But when you get to the top, that's when you get to party with the people that went through the same thing you did and stay true to the mission.
I can tell you, it feels lonely sometimes being a conservative in a blue city. I'm a minority in my city. Los Angeles, we don't have as many outlets as I would like to see. In fact, when Turning Point comes to California, oftentimes I end up going down to Orange County to be a part of those events. So what do you think needs to happen for conservatives to get a better foothold in blue cities?
Well, with blue cities, what's happened there, the reason that they're so out of control, especially with our open border, is they take all of the migrants, put them in government housing in these blue cities where you have governors like Gavin Newsom,
that's right,
mayors like yours in Los Angeles, who have now opened it, and you see what's happening there. When you take the preference of foreigners to Americans, you deplete the system because they don't have jobs. So that's all the money that we're paying for going to them. And the only reason they come there is for amnesty, immunity, and all of these things to become an American, and then they just get released into the wild and not taken care of. And then all of those counties, that are now plummeting, now start trying to draw from the communities around them and stuff. What I honestly feel needs to happen is more people like yourself. You are a successful person because failure was not an option for you.
100%.
And when people look at you as somebody who thinks they have it all together or whatever, that's your opportunity to give people the tools to be like, no, this is what I did. Here is an opportunity for you to work here, for you to work here. If more people were given options instead of stern talking tos, I feel like that would make more of a change, because when you give people the choice and they choose otherwise, you've done your job. In the end, we have to know that there's freedom of thought here, and what we need to start seeing is that we need to start being more vocal with our side of things. But when people make their choice, you continue to live your life and continue to do that, because success is a longevity. It's a long thing. Shortcuts make you bleed. The long way makes you sweat. You got to pick which one you want to leak at the end of the day.
That's an amazing response. You know, you and I went to Mar-a-Lago a couple Saturdays ago.
Yep.
Amazing event, obviously, and very successful for Turning Point. A lot of money was raised there, and I'm proud to be a part of that. But you and I were having a conversation on the ride there, And you really impressed me because you were talking about what conservatives are doing to really take back control of their finances. And I noticed one thing you said, which is that conservatives want to go back to the basics and back to things that they can hold. So how do you think gold empowers conservatives?
Well, I will be honest, when I first met you, I got really into like the studying of natural resources because everyone's chasing paper. But what I realized is that paper money only has value backed by the gold that we have. So when you're able to hold natural resources that the world produces, and when everything stocks and falls apart, you can fall back on that. So what I realized is you have a lot of conservatives now that I said want to go back to the basics. They want to go back to where it's just like their wealth is literally something that they can hold right here.
Absolutely.
And have a money value to that so that if anything falls, you have this to rely on. And it's natural. The earth produces it. You can mine it. You can pay people to go get it for you to invest it so that you can have something that you can leave to your children and their children's children if they're to follow in your footsteps. So I appreciate everything you're doing because what I try to tell kids, especially now, is just like your future is worth investing in. If you're people that think that the government and the world owes you something, then you're not going to last much longer when you get out of here. If you are people that are able to take a chance on yourself for the world that you want to live in, because America is the land of opportunity, you can't wait for other people to do something to then get on board, because at that point you'll be too late and they'll be making a killing and it'll just be one of those pyramid schemes where someone's up here and you're down here and then it's another thing over here. So the beautiful thing about what you guys are doing is telling people the beauty of what's investing in what they can actually physically touch and see. All of this cryptocurrency is boodle shank. I can't cuss on camera here. All of the cryptocurrency I think is garbage. Stocks and bonds I think are garbage, but natural resources that the earth holds, that you guys invest in, that now tell people it's just like, look, when the stock market crashes, rely on us. I was like, when the housing market goes, I was like, rely on us. When the dollar fluctuates, I was like, you can rely on this. All of those things that fluctuate that people are chasing right now are all backed by gold. And I'm just like, if people understood the value of that, and instead of donating $50,000 into a trust or a stock and bond here, and did it with you guys, with what you guys do, and are able to talk and have the conversations to show, look, over 10 years, it'll do this. 3 years, if this drops, this will go up here. This will shoot up there. And it's just like, when people see their money working for them in 10 different ways, just by one thing, I was just like, who wouldn't want to invest in that? I'm next to invest with Fisher Capital, and you guys would be stupid if you don't do the same.
I love that. You know, covered a lot of ground. There's so much wisdom. It's really impressive, Anthony. But I want to just close this up with this. It's the end of 2023. It's been an amazing year for a lot of people. It's been a hard year for some people, in fact. But what does 2024 look like for you? What are your plans, and what are you excited for at this point?
Well, 2024, I am so excited for what Turning Point has coming up. Myself personally, with Campus Crashers Season 2 coming out, I'm really excited for that. And I think the thing that everyone can be hopeful for is that I don't think America's waking up. People are awake. It's just been with all of the censorship and everything else, the message has been kind of muted here and there. But because of people like yourself, through the work that you've done, what you've done is you've restored hope in the American dream, that you can start with a little bit, and through hard work, good choices, and dedication, you can turn what was this big into a conglomerate that now you can now bless other people to now take chances and liberties for themselves and for the world that we want to live in. Because my message and my message is simple. If we lose the United States, where do we go? And if that doesn't get you uprooted to go and fight for a country for yourself, then that's going to inspire other people to come follow and take your lead, because everyone wants the benefits and the rewards of leadership, but nobody wants the struggle. Nobody wants the isolation. Nobody wants the moments of doubt where I'm pretty sure you've questioned yourself plenty of times on your climb to success of, is this worth it? I'm not seeing a return. Everyone else is doing this. It's just like, how much longer until this breaks? And now you're sitting here as somebody that can now take all of your struggles when you see it and be like, no. I've been there. I know what it's like to be there. When you're here, this is what you got to do. When you're feeling this is what you got to tell yourself. I was like, when you're having people surround you and say this is how you got to maneuver so that you don't get attacked and you don't have people do this. Like you told me earlier, you said, when you lose sight of the mission, I have no use for you. Because if you're not here to help me contribute and do these things to add to the greater good of the country that we want, then I'm going to do you a favor and I'm going to just usher you out.
That's right.
And then when you get that passion again, prove it here and then we'll talk about it. It's all about making every man that you've worked for take accountability for himself.
That's right.
And that's something that we need more of. So thank you for that.
It's the qualities of a true leader. You can't ask other people to do something you wouldn't be willing to do yourself.
Absolutely.
And if they don't have the drive and they don't have the grit to apply it, then it is useless in some capacity. You don't want to surround yourself with people who you just don't see eye to eye with. And I feel like by proxy, people are thrown into jobs that they just have no choice but to do that. And it's not true. You can liberate yourself from that system in the spirit of entrepreneurship. I'd love to see more financial literacy for the students. What does Turning Point have planned for that agenda, and how can students really take more control of their destiny rather than just getting into the college scam and getting into a dead end job or eating dirt with a firm in hopes that they're going to climb their way up one day?
Well, the way I would say that is through people like yourselves, through Fisher Capital and the mission that you have of showing people the tangible ways of actually doing the physical work of getting involved in investments, certain places with things that can't fail. You can't fail with natural resources, with silver, gold, precious metal, because we're overloaded with that. But everyone is so fixated in putting their money in other places like college, where instead of learning how to be people, and I mean, like, look, if you want to be a doctor and a surgeon, you need college for that. Yeah. But I mean, like, to be a professor in gender studies, I was like, all you got to do is go to YouTube. There are certain things that you don't need in college anymore. And by you guys leading the way of being like, no, like, we're people, because I can tell from the time I met you and all of your team, you guys are really good communicators. You guys are very good. You are articulate. Y'all know how to hold a conversation. Those are the three minimal things right there alone. Eye contact, personality, and someone who can hold a conversation that make you successful. Because when you can look somebody in the face, when you can have a conversation, you can make your points clear, that's when you either get a firm yes or a firm no, and then it makes your life easier so you know how to maneuver out of the maybes, the I don't knows, the kind of sortas, and everything else. People like us, we don't dabble with people that have a hard time making up their mind. You're somebody that from the first time I met you, you're just like, look, if you're with me, this is what I expect. If you're not with me, there's the door. The same thing with myself. It's just like, look, I don't got time to entertain people that are sitting here in their adult age still trying to figure out what they want. Absolutely. I know what I want, and I'm focused. When we get the next generation to be focused individuals in their careers, if you go to college, if you don't go to college, when you're somebody that's fixated and knows how to maneuver and has the tools on how to conversate, articulate, and be dedicated to something through every kind of trial that comes for the greater goal that you want, I was like, that's when we're going to start seeing a change for the positive in this next generation that we have coming up.
That's an amazing message. It's really inspiring to hear you speak that way. And I really appreciate you just working with the students, man. Absolutely. They need strong leaders like you, and I love the work that you're doing. So thanks. It's good to see you. Everyone's getting ready for Tucker Carlson right now.
I know.
So really excited for that. But Anthony, really quick, just to tell everybody, where can they find you specifically online, and what's the best way to get in contact with you for the people who want to just explore opportunities to work with you?
Okay, if you guys want to get in touch with me, you can reach out to me on my Instagram. It's my name. It's A Watson, W-A-T-S-O-N, Jam. So A Watson Jam. And then you can go check out my TV show, Campus Crashers, at www.campuscrashers.com.
Amazing. Thanks for coming on, Anthony.
Alexander, it's a pleasure. Appreciate it.